Hey YouTube, and welcome back to the Sneaky V YouTube channel. Last time I had you guys here, I was telling you guys about some of the things that I needed to fix on the car to make it drivable, and one of those things, one of the major things, was the brakes. So if you don't recall, the front brake calipers had bleeding screws. Like the bleeding screw for the front brake calipers were actually frozen in place with rust or something. I don't know exactly what was keeping them there, and so I needed to try to get those out. And I tried to get them out. I tried drilling them out. I tried cutting them out with my grinder, and it didn't quite work. As you can see here, the grinder kind of messed up the surface where the maiden screw is, and actually part of the maiden screw, part of the bleeder screw is still down in there. But it messed up the mating surface where the hose would attach. So like if I tried to attach the brake hose back to that, it would leak because it's not even anymore, it's not smooth. Basically the same thing happened with the other side. So what I had to do was go to the scrap yard. Luckily there was a scrap yard within 10 miles of where I live, and actually grab some brake calipers. They happen to have some CTS's around the same year, the 03 to 07 CTS's, which should work just fine for mine. And I found some new brake calipers. They have the bleeding screw. I already tested them. They aren't stuck like mine were. This one has one too. While I was there, I noticed the car that I got those off actually had some brake discs that were still pretty meaty. They got some they still have some meat on those rotors, whereas some of mine are actually worn out. This one, the driver's sides, both on the driver's side, and the one in the rear on the on the driver's side. I think I said driver's side for the other side, but the passenger side. But the one in the rear on the driver's side is probably actually getting pretty thin too. The driver's side front I've already replaced within like the last 2 years, so it should be still pretty brand new. So the only ones I'm gonna be replacing are the two on the passenger side and the one in the rear on the driver's side. But yeah, I already hit these guys with some naval jelly. It's a rust remover to get some of the surface rust off, and they look pretty good. They are already reforming some of that rust because you rinse them off with water when you're done with that, and they immediately start rusting. That's just the way brakes are. They're bare metal. You can't really put anything on them because they're brakes, and like it's just gonna scrub it off whatever you put on there. So it's bare metal and it rusts easily. But anyways, I got those cleaned up and looking decent for now, and I'm gonna get this car up on the jack and get those on. One of the other things I think I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and adjust the valves on my car. Don't pick at my wiring in here, it's ugly, but it works for right now. I'm gonna have to take off my valve covers here and get in there and actually adjust the valve lash, because the noise is starting to get on my nerves a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get to that today if I can, if I have time after doing the brakes, but we'll see. But yeah, for right now I think that's what I'm gonna do, and let's get to it, I guess. Okay, so let's get this car up on the jack. I've already done that, as you guys can see here, and get the wheels off. And the first one I'm gonna do is the driver's side front, because it's going to be the simplest one. I only have to put the brake calipers back on that one. The rest of them I have to actually take the whole brake caliper bracket off and put the rotors back on for those. But since the driver's side already has a fairly fresh rotor on it from when I put it on a while ago, I only have to put the brake calipers on this one. All right, so let's set you guys down right here and make sure you can see. I've already broken those lug nuts off, so I'm just gonna snatch this wheel off right here. And what for this is your brake pads, of course, and a 13 millimeter and an 11 millimeter, I believe, wrench. The 13 millimeter is for these two bolts right here that actually hold the caliper on, and the 11 millimeter is for the nut that actually feeds fluid to the brake caliper. I'm not sure what you actually call that bolt there, but yeah. So anyways, get your those in there, those brake pads in there, and let's see. So brake pads in, caliper on, just slips right over it like this. And sometimes your pistons actually have to be pushed back in, and to do that you can take your brake pads and just set it over them and take a C-clamp and tighten it down, and it'll force those back up in there, because if they're poking out too far, it'll be hard to get over your disc and your brake pads and the whole assembly there. And this slips right over it just like that. Your two bolts go back in. Bolts. And your brake line goes in the bottom here on this side. And basically you just tighten those guys down. The brake caliper's already on, just like that, super quick. Tighten these down. And your 13 millimeter. Tighten those down real good. Let's pull you guys over here so you can see a little bit better. So your 13 millimeter bolts are going to be back behind your caliper and your bracket there, top and bottom. And your 11 millimeter bolt is going to be your brake line right here. We'll get that in there, that twisted in there. Make sure it's not cross threaded. I'm going to have to put you guys back down over here so I can get this done. But anyways, and the brake line actually has like a little copper or maybe brass washer on it. I think it's a crush washer, and it crushes between the bolt and the actual caliper itself, or rather like this metal part on the hose and the caliper itself. It crushes and it deforms, and it kind of makes a seal between the two steel parts using a softer piece of metal like copper to create that seal. And that one's on. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side, except now I have to take off this bracket here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this wheel back on, just, you know, for safety reasons, because I don't want to have both sides of the car jacked up and off the wheels. I gotta replace this tire, it's worn out. Honestly, if you ask me, One of the hardest parts of actually doing any maintenance on your car is actually getting the tire back on. It's such a pain in the butt. Ah, there we go. These back in. And I do have power tools that help with this part right here, getting the lug nuts back on, but I don't feel like going through my trunk and finding them, so I'm gonna have to do it the slow way. Right, let's get to the other side. Get it up in the air. Lug nuts off. Oh, I should grab my my wrench, my power tool instead, because this just takes forever to do it by hand. Not really forever, but it can be done faster, and I like faster. So for this side, after I get the wheel off, I have to take the brake caliper off, well, the brake caliper holder, the bracket off, and that's going to require a 3/4 inch socket, or even a box wrench, open-ended wrench, whatever, 3/4 to take the brackets on the back off. Since I already had a caliper off, it's going to be pretty simple. So let me get my 3/4 inch socket. In fact, let's go ahead and bring all my stuff over here, since this is the side I need it on. Okay, let's see, where is it? 3/4. I'm not tightening it. Let's turn it this way. And it is extremely tight on there. Let me get these bolts out of the way back here, so that when it slips loose, I don't rip my skin off on these bolts. Hate when that happens. And I think I'm going to use my jack handle here as like a cheeto bar, if I can. Holy crap. Let's try it this way. Which way am I turning this? Maybe I'm turning it the wrong way. Let's see, where are my bolts? So I need to turn it that way to tighten it. So I need to pull up on it to loosen it. I was turning it the wrong way. So, holy crap, it's on that tight. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna need a longer wrench. Alright, got my longer wrench. I'm gonna turn the steering wheel so I can get a better angle on this. That should do it. This wrench is not long enough. I can't apply enough torque. So I brought my torque wrench. And it's loose. I'm glad I didn't strip it. Bracket comes off, disc comes off, which actually looks to be in pretty good condition, but whatever, I'm here already. And newer disc goes on. And it seems this rotor here doesn't actually have the provisions for a lock bolt that actually locks this in place, so it's just kind of sitting on there, but whatever. Bracket goes back on. Let's see, how did this go on? Wasn't like that. Bracket. Clip. I kind of need that to be in place. Bracket back on. It's really simple once you get the bracket loose. Once you get the bolt loose for the bracket, it's only 2 bolts. torque back down. Alright, bracket on. Brake pads back in. And I should have some more brake pads, some fresher ones around here. Let me check my trunk, because that one's kind of worn. Here's a fresh one. Some goes on the back. Anyways, brake pads back on, caliper back on, bolts back in. Hose reconnected. And after all this, I can finally bleed the brakes. I still have to go through and put the rear discs on, because they were more worn than anything. Those were the main ones that I actually wanted to change. But since I could find a new front one, or a better front one, I decided to go ahead and grab it too. Tight. Whew, that's it for the front. All I gotta do now is get the wheel back on and do the back. And I think I'm gonna set you guys up on time lapse for the back because it's the same process and I don't really want to go through it all again. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and bleed the front brakes before I put the wheels back on completely. And this one is the furthest away from the master cylinder, so I'm gonna start with it since I already got the wheel off anyway. This is my little brake bleeder kit. It has a little tip that fits over the bleeder screw and kind of seals it, makes a vacuum. And I'm gonna need a 10mm socket to get the bleeder screw loose. You know, this whole time I didn't notice that my jack was kind of lifted off the ground here. That is extremely dangerous. Let me readjust that. Because that is unstable. Holy fuck. Please don't follow me, car. And I was looking for something else. Right, I have some thread sealant tape that I like to put around the brake bleeder screw thread so that air doesn't leak through and affect my bleeding process. So I'm gonna go get that and I'm gonna stick you guys on time lapse while I do it, and I'll be right back. So I can't find the thread sealant tape right now, so I'll just do without it. Anyways, this is a vacuum brake bleeder kit here. What it does is it pulls a vacuum on the brake system and pulls fluid down through these hoses here, and the fluid collects in this little cup here so that it doesn't make it to the actual pump here. So let's get my bleeder screw loose. And it's not a 10mm, it might be an 8. Or I'm just dumb and I had an 11 in my hand. So it is a 10. Loosen that. And slip that over the little nipple there. And get to work. And what it does is it pulls all the air out of the system. Because you don't want air in your brake lines. It is no bueno. There's a lot of air in this because I just put these on fresh. As you can see the bubbles going in there. Just make sure this thing is on because that's a lot of air. And the air is the reason that I wanted to use my thread sealant tape on the threads around the bleeder screw, because the air can get through those. But anyways, let's see if I got enough brake fluid in this thing. Fresh bottle of brake fluid. Bubbles have stopped, so it may be fully bled, but I'm gonna run it one more time just to make sure. Let's get rid of this brake fluid here. And do a little bit more pumping just to make sure all the air is out of that brake line. It's a decently short brake line, so it's probably good. No more air bubbles. This is gonna be it. tighten that back down. And I am going to bleed the other side, but I'm not going to do it in this video because I've already done it on this side and I don't want to make this thing super long. So for now I'm going to pause it, go ahead and do that side, and I'll get back to you guys once I get around to the back side and start putting the disc brakes on the back. Okay, so we're back to the back of the car. Now, I've gone and bled both front brakes, and now I'm gonna swap out this rotor here. And as you can see, the rear rotors have the provision for the little bolt to hold it on, unlike the front rotor. So I've gone ahead and taken that off already, and basically it's the same idea as the front. You got two 3/4 inch bolts on the back of this caliper here, on the back of the bracket that holds the caliper on. So you just break those loose. Let's see. And they're kind of hard to get loose, but I think I've had these loose before, so they're not as hard as the front to get loose. And the one on the bottom. And these are actually a little bit longer than the ones on the front. I'll show you guys that in a minute. So before I take those loose completely, I'm going to go ahead and get my caliper loose here. Because I'm going to need it to be a little bit out of the way. Not necessarily completely. So I'm going to take that top bolt out of the caliper and just swing it back out of the way. Grab my brake pads off real quick. And one of the main reasons that I need to switch this out is because this specific rear caliper or rear rotor is really thin on the backside, and I'll show you guys that once I get it off. And what's happened is this car has been driven with worn out brake pads, and what that do is that eats into the metal, and it's on the backside where it happens. So what happens is that when you get that, it starts wearing on the brake pads unevenly. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that is a unevenly worn brake pad, and that's not good, because like the smaller spot that you have to making contact with your brake rotor, the hotter that brake pad is gonna get. So it doesn't distribute the heat evenly all over the brake pad, which is why it's important to have a smooth flat surface on your brake rotor, and like, you know, nice thick brake rotor, so that they don't like wear so fast. Anyways, let me get this the rest of the way off. This brake rotor here couldn't even be turned and ground down smoothly because it's too thin on the backside. These bolts are a lot longer than the ones in the front. Stick those right there. That comes off. The rotor slides off. And compared to the front, if you guys can see it there, the back side of this rotor is paper thin. The front still has some meat on it. But what you really want it to look like is this one, where both sides have a pretty good amount of metal. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this one on. Line my little hole up there. And put my bolt back in, secure it in place. Not really sure how much that helps with anything. If the bolts, these 5 bolts, don't hold it, there's nothing this little thing is gonna do, but I'm gonna put it back in anyway. And I should have some newer brake pads around here. I need to go check my other trunk, and I'll be right back. Alright, so got my other brake pad. Let's see if it's the front side or the back side. This one's going to be the front side, and the back side should be over there too, I think. No, all I have is the front side. And since the front side on this one already isn't worn that badly, I'm just going to keep these on there and save that one for later. But anyways, let's get my caliper back on here, or my bracket. Actually, hold on, because this may be a problem. Okay, no, I thought I had done something silly there, but it's fine. It's just me overthinking. Got my jack stand under the car because I don't trust this jack on this surface. It's not very level. Let's get my brake pads back in. Gonna shove that back into place. But first I gotta press that back out. So I'm gonna take my brake pad here. Front one will do. And just like press that back that way, because it won't fit as it is now. I don't understand how it'll come out just fine, but it won't go back on just fine. But whatever, it's an easy fix. Put my bolts back in and get them all tightened down. Just like that. And although I've already done it, I'm gonna go ahead and re-bleed the back brakes, because I went and took the front brake hoses off, so it's probably got air in the lines. And I just want to make sure everything's good. But for right now, while I get these bled and make sure they work, I'm gonna go ahead and probably end this video here, because it's gotten extremely long. So you guys have a good day. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, notification bell, so you can see the next time I post again. And you guys have a good one.